If you have any questions for us, please throw them in the comments. Would love to answer them. Hey, my brother.
Yo, what's up, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. These are
Where,
always
where
just
are you?
awkward.
Where are you right now?
I'm home. I'm in Moiriva, KZN. Yeah,
Nice.
that's where I'm at. Yeah,
KwaZulu Natal, huh?
yeah, in KwaZulu, bro. Just chilling with the family. I'm just trying to chill. Yeah,
Nice, man.
these things never
Nice.
usually happen. Um, yeah, yeah. How's it going? It look like you're in a studio. What's going on? It looks dope.
Yeah, this is my
What's
home
happening in the
studio.
background?
It's my home studio. And my
Yeah,
new home studio actually. So I'm still working on it and doing some final
nice,
touches. Um,
nice.
just
How do
waiting
you?
for maybe 1 or 2 more minutes for a few
Okay,
more
cool.
people to join, and then
Okay.
we dive in.
We do our thing. Yeah, tell me
Yeah,
something because I always have a real hard time whenever I'm moving studios. Like
yeah,
whenever I move to a new space, it's always great because it's like there's gonna be some new inspiration or the vibe that's gonna happen there. But then
yeah,
sometimes I'm just so used to the old setup because of the dynamics and the whole vibe. How do you wait like a
yeah.
certain period of time, or is it just about working on in that space until you find yourself again? Well, how do you do it?
It's a good question because a studio is a different space. You know,
Yep,
it's different dimensions, different
it
size
is.
of room, different lighting.
Yes, yes, yes,
And some
yes.
of this is organic light and some is artificial light. Right
True.
now, mostly this is organic, which is quite nice. My last studio was a lot more dark.
Okay.
But then again, acoustics in this studio have been an issue for me. And still, I'm actually still getting all my acoustic panels set up. There's one in the
Yeah.
back. I have a few on my side, but the whole roof is going to be
Yeah.
filled with acoustic panels
Yeah.
because I need to control the acoustics. So for me, the hardest thing
So
about adjusting to this studio was getting used to the new acoustic situation, the new acoustic environment.
true.
And I'm not 100% confident yet because I
Yeah,
knew
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
last one. So even
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
even the problems that my
yeah.
acoustics,
Yes.
the acoustics of the room had, I understood them and I could I could
Work around them.
counteract,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yes, yes,
negative
yes,
effect
yes.
that they had. But now
Got
I'm
you.
still
Got
sort
you.
of understanding the space. And there are machines. You could actually buy fancy machines
Yep.
that can give you various readings regarding the acoustics for the room, and you can
So
work with it
true.
like that and treat the room. But it's a good question, man. Changing studio
Yeah.
is not a small thing for an artist.
No, no. Especially if you're a producer and you mixing
Yeah,
is another big problem
yeah,
because
yeah,
I think I had a hard time when I was working on my second album as well because I had changed studios and I,
yeah,
I still miss my old when I was making Africa to the World, my first album. It was
yeah.
so it was just so much freedom, I guess. I think after I released my first album and then it was just this pressure, but it didn't really bother me. But
Yeah.
there's something I could reference whatever I've put out now. It's like, oh snap, I need to match that, and it needs to be better. So it was a little bit
So
weird, but
you mix your entire album yourself.
yeah,
You don't send it
yeah,
out for mixing.
no, no.
Wow. Wow, man. Jack
No,
of all trades.
no, I got used to it, man. I had no choice. Being broke it will actually teach you how to work with your vibes. So I really, I enjoy it. I think I like designing. I
Yeah.
think it's one of my big things. So
Yeah.
even though it's so strenuous, but I enjoy it weirdly enough. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's that vibe, yeah, man.
Awesome, man. And that's an
Yeah, bro.
incredible album. The
Yeah,
sound
okay.
design, like sonically, such a powerful, powerful, powerful album. And
Yeah.
I asked you this question in Josie the last time. It was last year.
Yes, yes, yes,
I
yes.
asked you about your synths. So before we dive into the remix and talk about that and answer any questions that people are asking us, do you use any hard synths or are these all soft synths?
Soft synths, bro. It's all soft synths. By soft,
Wow.
you mean like, is it like virtual?
Like
Is it
digital.
like
Yeah,
digital?
virtual.
Yeah, yeah. It's all digital. But
Wow. So no
that's what.
analog, no analog
Yeah,
basses
whatsoever.
and
Zero.
pads.
But all
Yeah,
the plugins
man.
that I'm using are actually from a model from hardware, obviously. So it's always like
Of
that.
course,
But I
of
always go
course.
for like, I don't know, man. It's just really, it's about what really moves me more than
Yeah,
the synth. because
Yeah, yeah,
here's one thing that's tricky about just getting plugins, because I'm a collector. I love collecting loops, sounds
yeah,
whatsoever,
yeah.
and what's strange enough is that how I get to finish a record is by using all these really small plugins that are not so heavy, which is just weird, because I've got these big plugins,
Oh,
but then they never just do the job, for me. So
interesting.
yeah, very interesting, very, very,
And
very
for the
beautiful.
people listening who are curious, I'm sure they're very curious because you
Yeah,
have a very distinct sound.
yeah.
If you're willing to open up and be transparent, what is your go-to plugin for those listening?
I've got. Oh man, I'm
If
willing
you
to
had to
share
pick
that.
one.
That's very good. I'm just thinking, man. Let me give you top three rather.
All
Right?
right, top
How's
three.
that? Top three.
Yeah.
Firstly, for my bass, it's Trillion,
Okay.
Spectrasonics Trillion, and then for my pads, I go for Albino or Albino, depends how you want to pronounce it, and then
Okay.
it's one of those. And what's the other one? I actually thought of three as I was thinking about it. It's that bass synth for my leads. Ugh, man, let's hope. Let me just go for Nexus. Yes, definitely
Okay.
Nexus.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah. I love.
classic.
Yeah, and definitely I go for as well. Sorry, I'm going for a fourth one now. I'm thinking about Keyscape. Very beautiful
Yes.
piano.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
that's
Yes.
that's my new baby right now. So I'm just in
Nice.
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice, man. Nice, nice.
Yes, sir.
So, for all of you who just joined or who have joined over the last couple of minutes, we're going to be talking about, or mainly about, the brand new Sunel Musician remix from my single "Lost" featuring Adekunle Gold that came out 1 week ago, and the visual comes out tomorrow, actually, on the Ultra YouTube page. So if you guys are keen on seeing that, I think it's going to be 12 p.m. Eastern time, something like that. Anyway, so let's dive right into this. And I think, for those watching this, they might be curious as to how we met and how we established a friendship, but also how we established this collaboration. This
Yeah,
remix.
most
And
def.
I think I can start with that.
No,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna go all the way back to
Yeah,
Akanamali,
you're the perfect guy. I suck at those.
2017. I
Yeah.
was I was sitting at home watching music television channel. I think it was Trace or something like that, MTV base. I don't know.
Okay.
Music video comes on. I'm like, damn. First of all, I'm like, shit. There's another L. This is a problem. This is a big problem. There's another L. There's another L
Uh,
who is also bigger than me. This is an even bigger problem. And and he's also good looking. Even bigger problem. Then, but
Whatever, man.
I couldn't hate, man. I couldn't hate because the song was so good. It was,
Yeah.
for me, it was probably my top song the whole year. As a musician,
Yeah.
we're constantly listening to music, being exposed to new stuff. But it's very
Sure.
rare that something really penetrates,
Yeah.
goes all the way to the soul, speaks to your subconscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Akana Mali for me was that. It was, and when we first met, so I'm going to fast
Yeah.
forward a little bit. We met for the
Yeah.
first time 2019, Corona Sunsets in Durban,
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
probably not far from where you are right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were put in touch by our mutual booking agent for East Africa, Saifa,
Yeah.
who connected us, I
Yeah.
think, on WhatsApp a few days before. So
Oh,
I remember telling
Cypher.
you this
Yeah.
backstage. And if Saifa, if you're in here somewhere watching, we miss you and love you and can't wait to come back to
Yeah.
East Africa. But I remember telling you that sometimes in art, so specifically music, it's not just you in the studio. So I believe that even if it was just you sitting in your studio back in 2017 producing Akana Mali, somewhere, somehow, there was divine intervention. I think in art there's a certain point where, like, you do what you can possibly do as a human being,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the rest is, in my opinion, God just sort of taking the steering wheel
The
and
spirits.
pushing
Yes.
you.
Yep.
and
Yep.
you
Yep.
start
Yep.
to transcend, you know, because art is a very mystical thing. You know,
Yep.
it's not tangible. It's
Nope.
extremely powerful,
Yeah. Yeah.
highly underestimated, especially over the last year and a half, where we were all labeled as
Yeah.
what were we labeled as? Non-essential, non-essential workers, which is bullshit because we feed the soul. We feed the soul. So
It's
yes, you might
true,
not survive long if you don't
man.
feed your stomach, but if you don't feed your soul, you will also start to crumble.
Lost.
And
You'll be
we are the
lost.
we make that food. So
Yeah.
I believe that you were not alone in that studio. Um,
Yeah.
it was such a beautiful song and a powerful song. And I remember telling myself back in 2017 that someday I'm gonna meet this guy. I'm gonna be friends with this guy because I thought he had, you know, really cool energy.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm talking about you now. And that happened, you know, two
Yeah.
years later in 2019. And we met briefly at Corona Sunset because I think you had to fly out for a show after the
Yeah.
festival. You went
I,
back to Josie.
I'm a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. Oh. Well,
He's a busy guy, guys.
I was a busy guy. So yeah, yeah,
You
man.
were a busy guy before the
Yeah,
pandemic.
yeah, before the pandemic, you know. But that's beautiful, man. It's so crazy, you know. I think I was just going through a lot when I when I released Taranamadi, and
Yeah.
then there's a lot of just new vibes that were just happening. I was just meeting a lot of people, but weirdly enough, there's just those people just that you just sort of like connect with. So yeah, I think you
Yeah.
were one of those guys because for the mere fact that I actually agreed to be live with you, I was thinking to myself, what are you doing? You don't like going live. But I was like,
Thank
oh man,
you, thank you,
this is
thank
my
you.
bro, man. I think that's just a big connection. I don't know if it's the L that's just making the whole vibe just, you know. But yeah, man, I think Cypher really did a good job, even though she's just sometimes I was like, oh, Cypher, don't just don't share my number. And you know, I'm like, then because she says, "When it's like, no, you're gonna like this guy, trust me." That's what she said to me. So yeah, when I pulled through, when I came to Zambia, man, the energy, you know, when we had the gig, you know,
Yeah.
and here's one thing that's really beautiful about being in another African country is that people starts mumbling or was it singing, you
Yeah.
know, because they don't know the lyrics because the songs are in isiZulu or Xhosa. But I could see the ladies there. I'm like, oh, but it's
Man, they
beautiful.
were
It's
going crazy.
man, it was such
I
an
still remember
amazing
that.
moment.
I still remember that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for some of the people who maybe weren't there,
Mm.
I invited Sanel to Zambia a few months after we met in 2019 for a
Yep,
beer garden event.
yep.
And it was in partnership with Budweiser, and it was a really, really dope party. We had like 500 people, so it was quite exclusive, but everyone was resonating at the right frequency. You know, we were
Yeah,
all on the same page. And
yep.
I remember all those ladies in the front row when you
Yeah.
came on just losing their shit, man.
It's
You're a
so
bad boy.
beautiful. It's
Bad boy.
amazing to me. It's just amazing for me to just see them just being there. It's like, oh, hey, I love your music. I'm like, oh, but do you even understand? You know, a song could be really saying, kill all Zambians. So hey, but anyways, I'm just, you know, I'm really grateful, man. It's sometimes when I'm just those were just early days of me just getting out of South Africa. So
Yeah.
it was just really a very good thing for me because I was like, okay, cool. What am I gonna play there? I thought of my other English songs. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to play English. I'm like, nah, whatever, man. They love Arana Mali. Most definitely,
Yeah.
I should play the other records. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I think we did we exchange on any songs at the time? Did you give me any files before that or
I
between
must
that?
have. I must have because I feel like when you came to Zambia, you know, we spent a lot more time together. You were in
Yeah, yeah,
my home turf. We
yeah,
went out afterwards. I think we bonded a lot more than we did when we first met. So
yeah.
I'm sure we exchanged stuff, but we didn't talk about Lost.
Mm.
Lost we talked about, and it's so
Oh
funny
yeah,
how everything happens. You know,
yeah.
even just the fact that I can remember sitting on my sofa, 2017, you know, watching Akanamali and saying, you know what, I'm going to work with this guy. I'm going to be friends with this guy one day. It took a bit of time, but you know, fast forward, it's crazy how things happen. And then even when I came to, so now the third interaction was in Joburg for, so my Ultra debut, which was last year. I'm in Joburg, and you came to take me to lunch. You came to my hotel, you picked me up, and I think on the way I played you Lost. Lost hadn't even been released. It hadn't even been signed yet.
That's crazy. Yes. Now I remember.
So it's crazy how everything was sort of meant to be. You know, it just fell into place. There was this greater plan that even I had no control over, and it just happened. And I think that with the sound of Lost and just the vibe and how the story of Lost built, even just the fact that you were one of the first producers I ever played it to, you know, for your advice, I feel like there was no remixer on who sent that song more than you did. And it's a great honor to have you on board, and I'm sure Adekunle Gold feels the exact same way. He's a big fan of you as well. I spoke to his manager the other day, and just like, yes, we love Sadel, we love him. So man, it's a big blessing, brother.
No man, I'm blessed. You know what's more amazing, bro? But I love music. You know, it's the connection and everything. But you know what's really big to me is connecting with another African brother in another space, you know, within the continent itself. I think that's my main thing, because initially when I started making music, I was like, okay, I'm going to Europe. No, I'm going to America. And then I was like, as I grew old, and then I did a little bit of research about being African, I wanted to connect more with people in the continent, you know. And then when I met you, you know, and that's my main thing. I'm like, oh, cool. This is what we don't see. It's not being documented, you know. It's not being showcased that you can go to Zambia. So whenever I post like a gig on my timeline on IG, and then it's like, I'm going to Zambia. It's like, what are you doing in Zambia? I'm like, no, actually, there's people there living. Like,
it's not just animals. It's not just one animals, massive national park.
Because the only time we see is just it's animals. Yeah, you're right. It's all these shows on TV. So you know, which is beautiful, because it's just showcasing the other side. But then I'm like, no, hey, there's more to this. You know, and I you know, I really appreciate you just rocking up and just really. For us to work on this song is just crazy, because when I started working on it, I was like, I'm not sure if he's gonna like it. I sent a screenshot of just drums.
I can't believe that, man. How can you ever think that? How can you ever think that? I mean, I think anything you touch turns to gold. Honestly, I don't think you could ever touch something that doesn't turn to gold. But I have two questions for you.
Sure.
I have two questions for you that I think a lot of the musicians, specifically DJ producers who are watching this live stream or will watch it later on, will benefit from. The first question, I'm going to ask the questions first, and then you can answer them. The first question is, even though you are super well established, super well known all over the continent, but internationally too, do you ever hesitate to load up your own song when you are DJing? So essentially, do you feel more comfortable playing tracks that you love by other producers, or your own? Is it at the same level, your comfort, you know, or are you more skeptical over playing your own stuff? That's the first question. And the second question is regarding Africa.
I'm gonna forget. Let me answer this one.
Okay. Let's start with the first one. Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Answer the first one.
Right, cool. Firstly, I think what really changed for me was when I was starting out, you know, going into what 2017, when I released Tangana Mali. In South Africa. Firstly, this is how everything just started. I want to explain why. I'm going to give you my answer. So at that time, it was Gom season. So for producers, it's like 125, 126. Distraction Boys are killing it. You know, everybody in the Gom space are just really smashing it. Here I am with a 105 super slow song. It was the most nerve-wracking thing, because I get people when they're on their highs, like to boo to boo to boo to boo to. I'm like, okay, cool. And there's a song, I'm like, okay, am I gonna be able to pull this? But then that actually taught me to be not afraid to launch my own records.
Yeah.
No one was
Yeah.
dancing when I was playing Sony in Good. All these songs that are supposedly big now,
Yeah.
everyone was not dancing to all of these songs. So I just sort of like developed this confidence now of just being
Yeah.
able to really play my own songs. But then what I do is whatever I really feel will fit into my set or that I vibe to, I usually just incorporate into the set, and yeah.
Okay, okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Sure, people will benefit from that answer because I think it is a big, and even with me dealing with my tracks, the tracks that are more successful than others, and just original versus other people's tracks, it's always been a big battle. And I've had this conversation with many DJs, and even if you have a big track, a track that the people know wherever you're playing, whether it's locally or regionally or internationally, it's always this massive step of gaining confidence, of being aware of what you're supposed to do from a marketing point of view, but also from a musical point of view, and just believing in your stuff. So anyway, the second question, which is perhaps even deeper, because it has to do more with our continent, where we're Africans, we're both from the south of Africa. Your market in South Africa is a lot more developed than the market in Zambia and than most markets in Africa when it comes to music and obviously other things too. But inevitably, we're still in the same boat. Even though you guys are well ahead, we're still Africans.
Yes.
So when it comes to music, electronic music in particular, and Africa, there is a bit of a lag, a delay when you look at the African market and the international market. For example, Spotify just opened up to most of the continent a few months ago. Spotify came into South Africa maybe 2 years ago, something like that, approximately.
Yeah.
So we've jumped onto the trends late, and it's always the same thing. Even just release schedules, like major labels in Africa. Up until like 2 years ago, when I was still with Sony Africa, they would say, look, we're going to push a record for 6 months. We're going to squeeze the juice out for 6 months, maybe even longer, and then release the next single. Whereas the trend in the West, among some of the big DJs, is almost every month putting something out, maybe bi-monthly. But you have DJs releasing every 4 weeks, whether it's a remix or a club record, a radio record, whatever it is. The frequency at which they're releasing has just shot off the roof, completely. So there are many differences, and as a result, it's been very challenging for most African producers to market their stuff internationally, to push it internationally, to play on the same platform. I like to think of Spotify as the New York Stock Exchange equivalent for the music industry. You need to be trading on Spotify. These days, when it comes to international record labels, you talk about numbers, and the numbers are Spotify numbers. If you don't have numbers, it's almost like you don't exist, at least when it comes to streaming and radio stuff. You do have Beatport with the club stuff, but Spotify has become so important. And so the question, as I'm just ranting is, how do you approach this? How do you tackle this? And for you, it's very interesting because you could very well have chosen, to go the major label route. How are you handling this challenge where, the fact that you are based in Africa, you are from Africa, puts you at a slight disadvantage in terms of accessibility to certain opportunities and platforms?
Yeah, man. No, well, you really, I like that. It's challenging real issues, in terms of like when it comes to like music and business. Man, firstly, I'm gonna say I'm blessed. I'm just gonna start there. That's my big thing, because everything which is seemingly was falling into place, but then it's not really true. It's because I was signed before as an in-house producer at Demo Music. So Well, I got a chance to DJ for Busi, one of the artists that was signed on the same
Yeah.
label.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think just doing a little bit of traveling, because I got to go to places like Europe, Porto, and Angola, Burkina Faso, all of these places. I was just
Yeah.
really sort of like learning on what people really love. I think I was just really, I think my DNA was just being improved, if for lack of
Yeah.
a better word.
Yeah.
I was taking all of these sounds. Why are people dancing to that? When I'm in Europe, I'm looking at the next DJ, and then
Yeah.
I was like, oh wait, hold on, why is he playing? And then people are moving. I'm like, and let me take all of this and put it in my sound when I'm working on my thing. At the time, I was just being a DJ and producing specifically for Busi a certain sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I think that really helped me, because when I released Taganamala, I released that song independently
Yeah.
via it's sort of like something like a DistroKid,
Yeah.
online an aggregator. So
Yeah.
I think that's when Platoon pulled through, and then because I could see the numbers, they were crazy. How could you self-release this song and the numbers are just insane? Because I was number one
Yeah.
there, I was number one here, and I was not even clued up on how really the stats and Apple Music and all of these things, Spotify. I couldn't really I couldn't track them because I didn't know anything about them. The
Yeah.
only thing I knew, I just wanted to release my song.
Yeah.
I think then that's when Platoon just rocked in. I think that's when they really introduced all of these spaces for me, where we're like, okay, hey, set it up. We have a plan for you now. You can release the song like this. Let's have you do this and that. I think that really helped me, because how we met with Platoon, they were an aggregator, and then now they're sort of like a record label
Yeah.
situation that's
That's
happening.
true.
So they developed. So I was with them when they going through all these phases. you know so I think that's really what's really helping me. But then again, it's all this research of the sound itself that's really just being able to just cross over. But then
Yeah.
again, another thing that I've noticed is was at the time was that I, one thing I noticed about Africans, we were just waiting for the West to come and get us.
Mm.
So I was like, no,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna chop this off now. Let me meet these guys halfway, because I know I could see with the fashion space, there was a lot
Yeah.
of African print there. So I was like, oh, cool. Let me put the title of my album, Africa to the World, where it's like I'm
Yeah.
exporting the sound now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what's really helping me, because it's because of the research as well. But another thing, the research that really helped me was really studying what what's happening in Africa. One of my
Mm.
cases that I really studied was Fela. You know,
Yes. Fela
he was
Kuti.
so big. He was big in America, but they couldn't play his music.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, why aren't they playing his music? Is it because he's black?
Mm.
And then I
The
got
king of
no.
Afrobeat, man. That's a
Yeah,
big name.
and that was not the case. It didn't fit the format of the
Yeah. Yeah.
pop
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. So they don't mind, they love it, but it's just they can't play it on radio, because that's the big thing. If your
Of
music can't
course.
get onto radio, then you're in trouble. You can be big on the
Yeah.
underground scene and be on the club scene and stuff, but if you can't get it
That's
to
true.
radio, then you're in trouble.
That's
So
true.
in my mind, I was like, okay, cool. How do I take or convert or just try and work around this African sound for it to fit the pop format? And then that's how really I
Yeah.
really came up with even Nagana. It's a super pop arrangement,
Yeah.
up verse, chorus, dance section, down, verse, second verse, da 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 da.
Yes.
That's just basically that. That's one thing I want to teach. Actually, I'm teaching a lot of guys who I work with sometimes, because they're so clubby. They were like, no, they just want I just want to make a song that I
Yeah.
love. I'm like, but it's not about you.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to feed
Yeah.
the people. You have to feed the audience. They need
Yeah.
to sort
Yeah.
of like understand what's happening to the song. The song should
Yeah.
be predictable, but not really. You know,
Of
so
course.
and it's just find a way to just really find a
Yeah.
balance for people to just relate to the song, even though they don't even understand the lyrics, which is amazing.
Which is
Because now
incredible,
it's
man. Music has such
yeah,
a
right,
powerful
right,
global effect, you know, even if you don't
yeah,
understand what you're saying. So I
yes,
hear
sir,
you loud and clear, and
yes, sir,
I feel like you've definitely answered part of the question, a very
yes,
important
sir,
part, which is starting with the product. It all
yeah,
starts with the product.
yep,
You can't polish a turd, you know, and neither can
yep,
you market a turd successfully internationally, in the sense that you need to develop something that is worthy of of international recognition and you know, something you can push globally.
yeah,
But that comes with
yep,
a certain structure. That's understanding song arrangement.
yes,
It's
sir,
understanding, you know, club arrangement versus radio arrangement, even
yeah,
the duration of songs, bro. In the
mm,
West, I
yeah,
and sometimes, you know, I follow New Music Friday from various countries, specifically
yeah,
South Africa, Germany, France, Australia, and the US. And sometimes I find songs that are like 2 minutes, 15 seconds. And it's remarkable how radio length is getting shorter and shorter and shorter
yeah,
in the West.
it's true.
And I get criticized in Zambia when I
Yeah,
submit my tracks to radio.
yes,
They're
yes,
always
yes,
like,
yes.
"Man, this
Lost
song is
was
too
very
short."
short.
I'm like,
Yeah, Lost was very
"No," but
short, for the
I'm like, "It's not when you compare it internationally."
yeah,
Anyway, so it's really important to understand what you're creating, you know,
yeah, sure,
to invest the best um, opportunities possible, you know, at your disposal in terms of creating art that you can market internationally, and putting it together
yes, sir,
well with a good team, or doing it yourself by doing enough research and practicing enough. But that answers only one part of the question. So
yeah,
let's
yeah,
say there's an African producer in his bedroom right now,
yeah,
super talented, just like
yeah,
they are. We
yeah.
have so much talent in this continent that it's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Everyone should be talking about Africa. We should have the
Yeah,
biggest DJs in the world
yeah,
begging to
yeah,
play in our countries, in our clubs, at our
yeah, yeah,
festivals,
yeah, yeah.
because Africa is home to so much talent, so much potential.
Yes, sir.
But it's that link. It could be, you know, you could call it education, you could call it opportunities, you could call it the market, you could call it development, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, that's the next part of the question. So let's say you have someone who is following this formula, following your advice, and
Yeah,
they have put together a great product. What
yeah.
happens then?
Man, you see, that's the most trickiest part, you know. But then here's my story. I always love just sharing my story
Yeah,
because I really didn't have any budget whatsoever, because a lot of people are like, no, but I don't have the money to do this and do that.
yeah,
Really, if you really work on the product, I promise you, no one will be able to deny what you're doing. Major record labels, I was having a lot of meetings, you know, but
yeah,
then I was just really careful with what I really want. What do I want? I think that's the main question, is like, what do you really want out of all of this situation that you're doing? You know,
yeah,
do you want to be a megastar? Yeah,
yeah,
only, you know,
yeah,
because a lot of people are like, no, I want to make a record so I can, you know, be popular. You know, for
yeah,
me, to me, it really was really about storytelling. You know, I felt like a lot of, especially in the dance system, a lot of people were just like shying away from that. I was like, nah, I'm gonna just go in there and really try and just be different, because I had a lot of people that I really loved, and one thing that I really shaped me for me was guys like Daft Punk,
yeah,
because
man.
those guys, the songs are so simple. They
Yeah,
literally, they'll repeat a phrase and put a
yeah,
robotic
yeah,
effect on it, and then the song is done. I'm like, hey,
yeah. Well, that's what it sounds like. That's what it
yeah,
sounds like.
it
It
sounds
sounds like
like,
it's so simple, a few ingredients. But even in cooking, man,
yeah,
there's so much complexity to the
yeah,
simplicity of
yeah,
beauty. You
yes,
know,
yes,
beautiful
sir,
song is
yes.
simplistic, but in a very complex way.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I think it's
Yeah,
having the right people next to you. You know, I think I had the right manager, and my younger brother, who is more of an A&R of the host, he's able to just pick up certain songs, because I wouldn't have never released Taranamal as my first single, by the way. I was gonna go for another song. It's called Malugatane.
interesting.
I was doing it with S-Tone from Swaziland. So I was like, no, I'm a house head.
Okay.
So I'm gonna release this. This is my jam. Yeah, this is what I'm about. It's dancing, dancing, dancing. So I think the guys were like, "No, relax, and it's not about that. just get the right song. Let's get the right song to, so you can just go on the radio. Aganamad is the one. I'm like, but can you tell it's home season right now? I can't be going against the wave. It's like, that's exactly what you're gonna be famous for. So I was like, oh, amazing. And then it worked out. It's just trusting your gut and then really working on that record, because Ranamad was not perfect to me. I still wanted. I sent it to a mastering engineer. It came back. I actually sent it to 3 mastering engineers. Still, I was not happy. I was like, nah, man, this guy killed my soul. This doesn't have a bass. I was like, oh man, it just sounds too light now, because my version was really heavy, and I still play my version when I'm playing live. By the way,
really, interesting.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I love it. I was really sure that it's the right thing, because I think I really worked on it. So I want it to be perfect. So yeah.
And the final thing.
Yeah.
Let's now talk about why we are doing this Instagram live in the first place, which is to talk about the Sunel Musician remix of Lost, featuring Adekunle Gold, that I released with AG earlier this year. Why don't you walk us through the process of how you approach this remix, and in a few words.
2 words. I like that.
If that's possible.
Well, man, I think I don't remember really well, because it's always just a sort of like get into a space where I'm just sort of like lost.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So I think what did I start with? What did I send you? I sent you just a loop with just drums and vocals, right? I think that's how it began, because it's really a different. It's always different. Sometimes I go for melody, and then I go and follow up with drums. I think with this one it's just drums, and then I went, and then I inserted the vocals, and then I built a new progression, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, you reharmonized it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, I took your piano and I reversed it.
Yes, I also heard that.
Yeah, and then it formed this new progression. So I was like, this is beautiful. I'm following you.
That's how you did it. You just reversed it, and that new progression inspired what became the actual progression in the remix.
Thank you, sir.
That's dope, man. That's
so
cool.
That's basically that. So after that, once I get the melody, I'm done. Once I'm happy with the keyboards, I'm like plum plum plum. I'm like I'm running with it. The rest is just a cherry on top. Yeah, man.
No, I love the new life you brought to the record. So even the original is quite it's quite
beautiful.
An emotional song.
It's a beautiful song, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's an emotional song, and when Adekunle Gold wrote it, he must have been in the right headspace. Something must have been going on to have inspired such a good track in terms of songwriting. But I feel like you took that emotional level to a whole new height. Like for me, when I play your remix, I want the crowd to be in that perfect headspace. It's like either the peak of the night, or it's an after hours set, or it's a sunrise set, or a sundowner set. You need that magical element to work in conjunction with the remix to really deliver that punch that it has, because it's so powerful. I remember, and this might make me look like a sissy, but this is just showing you how powerful music is. When I was working on the original, I cried, man, sometimes. When I was working on the chord progression and seeing how different chord progressions, I came up with maybe five different chord progressions, because I'm obsessed with harmony and reharmonization and finding every possible harmonization to a melody that I could possibly find, and then selecting the best one. So eventually I did stick with what I thought was the best one. But as I was going through that process, I was feeling so emotional. And then, of course, I had to listen to the song 1,000 times. So as the creator, you become more and more numb. But then when I heard your remix, it's like all those emotions just like came at me again. It was beautiful. And I can't wait to play it in the summer season that starts, at least for us, in 1 month.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful, because it's weirdly enough, I was like, here's one thing that I thought. I thought the vocalist was from Zambia. I was like, oh, this guy's from Zambia. This sounds Nigerian for me, you know. I was like, oh, but we're African, anyways. Most probably it's I was actually surprised when I actually Googled. I was like, oh, who's the guy?
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, this guy is major. I'm like, oh, L, blessings, bro. And I don't like researching artists at all before I work on the song because
Yeah.
it's gonna just get me into a space. I'm like, oh, this guy's got 10 million followers. Oh, I need to, put it up there. So I just like working from feeling. I just loved it.
Yeah,
I was
man.
just like, okay, this is a beautiful song. It's made by a beautiful guy as well. Like
Yeah.
mentally,
Yeah.
the way you think, the way we've had these
Yeah.
conversations. We've sat after the show in Zambia. Yeah, then that's
Yeah.
when I knew. I was like, okay, this guy's the truth. He's the truth. So it was so easy for me to work on a remix because I hardly do any remixes. So
I know, man. It's a big honor. It's
yeah,
a big
yeah,
honor. And shout out to Krish, who's
yeah,
watching, because Krish was my booking agent at the time
yeah. Okay.
when you came, and we would also do events together. So
The
it was
same guy
essentially
in
Krish and
Durban,
I that
right?
brought you. Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Oh,
yes,
no, no, no,
yes,
no.
yes, yes.
Durban was a
Oh,
friend of mine.
different.
That was
Okay,
Ryan.
okay, 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 okay,
Krish
okay.
is the guy you met in Zambia, and I think he's
Yes, yes, I
tuned
remember
in.
him.
So big shout out to him. Yeah, man,
Oh
it's a
man,
big honor. And if those of you watching this haven't listened to the remix yet, head over to Spotify or Apple Music or Deezer or YouTube, whatever you use and prefer, and check it out. It's
yes,
El Mukuka featuring Adekunle Gold, Lost song and the Sano Musician remix. I mean, that's what we're talking about today. And the
yeah,
visuals come out tomorrow on the Ultra page.
yeah,
So look out for that as well. In Africa,
yeah,
it's probably going to be evening when they come out, but
yeah, yeah.
they're coming, and I'm excited and so excited to play this remix this summer, man. I
Thank
haven't
you,
played a
man.
show in
Yeah,
shit, man, like 2.5 months, almost 3 months.
that's
I haven't even touched the decks in 3 months. I've just been locked up in the studio. So I can't wait to get back out, interact with real human beings, and play my music and play
it's
this remix.
amazing. It's amazing, man. I can't wait. I can't wait too. It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to play the song.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites right now. Definitely, I don't want to lie.
Oh, man.
It's a beautiful song, man. Thank you so much for having me on that.
Thank you, brother.
Song.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you.
so
And I hope you come back to Zambia soon. A lot of the people have been asking, when are you coming
yeah.
back? When are you coming back? We need
I'd
to make
love
a plan.
come back. Yeah, most definitely. All right, man.
Awesome, brother. Stay well. Stay safe.
Peace, bro.
And
Peace, bro.
hope
Thank
to
you.
see you in
Thank
the
you.
summer.
Thank you to everyone.
Care,
I see the comments. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much. Cheers, brother. Cheers.
Bye.